He was still talking, still moving, and then suddenly, everything went quiet. That's how some people describe the final moments of Sam Cooke's life. Not as something clear, not as something fully understood, but as something that happened too fast and ended too soon. Because Sam Cooke wasn't just anybody. By 1964, he had become one of the most important black voices in America, not only because of his music, but because of what he represented during a time when being black, successful, and outspoken could be dangerous. Born in Mississippi in 1931 and raised in Chicago, Cooke grew up in a world where segregation was normal and opportunity was limited. His father was a minister, and the church became the first place his voice had meaning. Gospel music wasn't just about singing, it was about survival, about emotion, about telling stories that people lived every single day. And even as a young boy, Cooke stood out. His voice had something different, smooth, controlled, but filled with feeling. People didn't just hear him, they felt him, and that feeling would soon reach far beyond the church. But stepping outside gospel wasn't easy. At that time, many people believed gospel singers should stay in the church. Leaving for mainstream music was seen as turning your back on something sacred. Cooke made that decision anyway, because he wanted his voice to travel further, beyond Sunday mornings, into everyday life. And once he crossed over, everything changed. By the late 1950s, Sam Cooke had become a star. Songs like You Send Me, Cupid, and Wonderful World were everywhere. His voice felt effortless, calm, and real, something people could connect to instantly. But even with fame, reality didn't change. America was still divided. The civil rights movement was growing stronger, and black Americans were fighting for equality, marching, protesting, and risking their lives. And Cooke didn't just watch it happen, he felt it, he lived it. There was one moment that stayed with him. A night in Louisiana, Cooke and his group tried to check into a motel, expecting nothing unusual, but instead, they were turned away, not because they didn't have money, not because there was no room, but because they were black. It didn't matter how famous he was. It didn't matter how many people loved his voice. In that moment, none of it mattered. That experience stayed with him, and not long after, something shifted inside him. After hearing Bob Dylan's Blowin' in the Wind, Cooke felt something deeper than admiration. He felt challenged, like it was time for him to say something real. That's when he created A Change Is Gonna Come. The song didn't shout. It didn't demand attention. It spoke, softly, honestly, and with a kind of pain that people could recognize instantly. It talked about struggle, about waiting, about believing that something better was coming, even when everything around you said otherwise. And it became one of the most powerful songs of its time. But Cooke wasn't just making music, he was thinking bigger. At a time when many black artists didn't own their work, he took control. He built his own label, controlled his publishing, and made sure his voice belonged to him. That kind of independence was rare. Then came December 11, 1964. That night, Sam Cooke checked into a motel in Los Angeles. What happened next still raises questions. According to the official story, Cooke had been with a woman earlier that night. She later claimed he became aggressive, and when she escaped, he went looking for her. That search led him to the motel office. Inside was the manager. Moments later, a struggle was reported, and then, a single gunshot. Cooke was killed at just 33 years old. The case was ruled justifiable, closed quickly. But for many, it never felt complete. Because when A Change Is Gonna Come was released after his death, it didn't just sound like a song anymore. It sounded like a message. And even today, people still ask, what really happened that night? Because while his life was cut short, his voice never was.